Hi, my name is Dr. Siobhán Healy Cullen.
And I'm Dr. Kate Dawson.
We completed our doctoral research on youth engagement with internet pornography. And when we tell folks about our work, it's often assumed that we research the negative impact of pornography on young people. The conversation inevitably becomes fraught when we explain that we sought to step away from a harms-orientated research lens, and that actually, our research suggests that youth understand themselves in ways that contravene existing portrayals that render them naive, at-risk, uncritical consumers of pornography.
Very quickly, suspicion is cast over our expert title, and our research position is met with scepticism. A common reaction is, pornography is obviously impacting young people's ability to have healthy sexual relationships. How can exposure to pornography be anything other than bad for them? Now, these exclamations are common, and Siobhán and I regularly hear them during conversations with our friends and family. And it's fair that people think this way about pornography and its effects, because the media, which is our predominant source of information about pornography, often conflates pornography use with behaviour like sexual violence.
We are often requested to provide a short answer to the million-dollar question. Does pornography educate or miseducate its viewers? So, based on our research, here are our thoughts. Firstly, the off-sided argument against pornography is grounded in the assumption that viewers learn in a passive, linear fashion from unrealistic portrayals in pornography, and then imitate harmful sexual behaviours. However, pornography, just like other media forms, requires viewers to make a judgment on its authenticity and validity as a source of reference for personal application. In other words, is the information we receive from pornography accurate?
We make these judgments based on our understanding of the media, our own personal experiences, our upbringing, and our education. This process is called sexual socialization, which is an ongoing process that involves piecing together information we get from people and society and reaching a conclusion based on the information that we have. So, in the context of pornography use, whether someone believes things they see in pornography will depend on the amount of information they have about the realities of sexual relationships.
In our view then, pornography is neither inherently good or bad. Each viewer makes meaning of it in different ways. Pornography is not one and the same for all viewers, and people engage with it in various ways. It is far more complicated than pornography being an educator who teaches or sells messages to the duped masses about sex and sexuality. What is often missing from fearful discussions regarding pornography is the recognition that young people can be critical and discerning when it comes to making sense of representations in pornography. Young people are not passive sponges who absorb all messages displayed in pornography and blindly imitate what they see. Rather, they can be active, critical consumers of pornography.
At this point in the conversation, we feel as though we have delivered some good news. However, the next question from skeptical adults usually goes something like, "Oh, come on, pornography totally miseducates viewers, everyone knows that. How can you say there are no consequences to this miseducation?"
We usually take this opportunity to point out some potential positives of pornography viewing, including the ways it acts as an informer about bodily functions, makes visible that it's acceptable to be interested in sex, and gives tips for improving sex lives. Many people consider pornography as a safe avenue to explore sexuality, as it often provides more realistic and varied portrayals of the body than mainstream media. Pornography has been noted as especially important for LGBTQI+ youth in this regard, who do not regularly see themselves represented in mainstream media.
Remember too, pornography does not only provide sexual information, it provides sexual stimulation. Let's not forget that pornography is often just about having fun. Nevertheless, pornography is still widely seen as a defective form of sexuality education, with critics suggesting it's a bad educator and problematic for young people in particular.
However, pornography viewing does not occur in a vacuum. It is one resource available to people as they explore sex, gender, and sexuality. We do not deny that representations in pornography can be sexist, racist, ableist, ageist, and classist. This is the case for much mass-produced media. Many people are aware of the issues with pornography, but can recognise and compartmentalise those issues because they know pornography operates under the mandate of creating fantasy. The young people we spoke with as part of our research described their capabilities to separate pornography from their real-world intimacies, while also recognising the value of pornography as useful, yet flawed, frame of reference to learn about sex and sexuality.
So the next typical question goes something like, okay, so what do you suggest then? We just let young people watch pornography and do nothing? Not quite. Pornography may shape understandings of gendered sexual norms, like men should be dominant and women submissive, and it could play a significant role in sexual socialisation for some youth if there is silence or limited discussion about sex and sexuality in their other social domains. So for example, with their parents or from their sex education in school. So, having conversations in an open way is really important. However, research with parents shows that their objective when talking to young people about pornography is how to regulate such engagement or mitigate potential negative effects. Our qualitative research with parents suggests that they generally view children's involvement with internet pornography negatively. Several studies have found that, as with sexuality in general, parents are hesitant, fearful, nervous, and/or embarrassed to discuss the subject of pornography with their children.
Unsurprisingly then, research in several contexts indicates that caregiver-child discussions of pornography is uncommon and/or inadequate. However, while some caregivers express restrictive and paternalistic attitudes towards youth pornography viewing, especially among girls, there is some research to suggest that parents express interest in developing constructive ways to converse with youth about pornography. Based on our research, we favour educational responses that move away from a deficit, harms-orientated, effects-focused understanding of youth engagement with pornography. We take seriously the voices of young participants when they report that they find pornography intriguing and arousing, but also hold concerns about the way it represents unhealthy, unrealistic gender relations and objectifies women. Our findings are supported by studies in other European countries and the US, which show that rather than unquestioningly accepting pornography's messages, young people can and do engage critically with pornographic content.
Young people in our research state that they can learn from pornography or use it as entertainment because they realise that it's fake and fantastical, and can criticise the way pornography stereotypes, stigmatises, objectifies, and otherwise misrepresents certain bodies, sexualities and genders. Therefore, conversations that centre on porn is bad, don't watch it, or porn sex is not the same as real sex may be viewed as infantilising to young people and insulting to their intelligence, and only really serve to foster a disconnect between adults and young people.
So moving past the overwhelming focus on potential negative effects of pornography viewing, we suggest educational strategies that support youth agency to navigate pornography. If the voices of many young people are to be taken seriously, young people must be recognised as legitimate sexual beings with the potential to discern and navigate the pornography they encounter. Educational discussions about pornography would be best suited among broader learnings about how a young person can explore pornography as a new cultural reality.